Okay, I've bought an internet radio to add to my beloved hi-fi system. Let's review this sucker. Welcome to the Tainted Tavern.
Welcome to the Tainted Tavern. Come sit inside for free.
You know, I'm a bit old to understand this popularity of what they call unboxing videos where you unbox your devices on cameras. But I'm gonna do it anyway because I can't back the trend. So, Swiss Army knife, which is suited to an old geezer like me. My parcel containing my internet radio, which is a Fitzwilliam internet radio and music system tuner. It receives DAB+, FM radio. It's got Bluetooth connectivity, Spotify Connect, and also a USB and aux playback. As I say, I'm a bit long in the tooth for this type of thing, but I'm going to do the unboxing anyway. I mean, I'm old enough to remember black and white radio, but I'm going to do this unboxing for you because these things seem to be popular, and then I'm going to set this up onto my existing hi-fi system and give a full review. Okay, first thing I want to say, it's a lovely cardboard box. So let's just get it open, run the knife down there, cross there, cross there. This is unboxing porn. See the way he sensuously moves the knife towards the box, gently cuts these tape bindings. The blade of the knife kissing the tape, sensuously parting the box. And it becomes open. Okay, first thing I can notice in here, we've got 2 batteries, but that's because I've opened the box upside down. So we've got batteries. Let's get the system out. Now it's really well packaged in there. So I'm going to pop this one side. Another thing that's fallen out of the box is the remote control. We've also got a lead, which is 2 RCA connectors, so red and white standard RCA connectors, to a type of auxiliary type plug. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use standard RCA connectors. Also in the box, you see how many YouTube videos I watched which showed how to do this? We've got a Spotify premium leaflet, which is sort of an advertisement for Spotify, but it also tells you how to connect to Spotify. And we've got a Majority Fitzwilliam 2024 model internet radio user manual, which is all in English. I mean, this is a British-made system. It's made up in Cambridge. Cambridge is a well-known area for tech innovations. Tech innovations in the past that haven't lasted long. Clive Sinclair's C5 came from Cambridge. See, I told you I'm old, didn't I? I remember one day you were in the Big Bang and thinking, what the fuck was that? Anyway, let's get this open now. So I'm taking off this kind of, wrapped in amongst this lovely recyclable card, which will go in my compost heap. It's really good for composting, that is. In fact, I'll probably use this to plant some seedlings in, because as you water the seedlings as they grow, the cardboard then gets a lot soggy and eventually it'll fall apart. But by the time it falls apart, my seedlings have got into the garden. That then can go in the compost. Okay, so you get your power supply, or power bank as you'd call them. And here we go. Drum roll please, because we are now going to take this packaging. And I'm going to try also to do this sensuously, because I did promise you unboxing porn. Okay, so like I'm gripping the bag really lightly now. I'm gently releasing it from its package. Gently, sensuously pulling it apart. Like a burlesque dancer. I'm pulling it, and pull it, and pull it. And I'm about to reveal the prize within. And there we have it. Well, there we have the back of it. There's the front of it. So this is the Majority Fitzwilliam 2024 model internet radio, including DAB, including FM, including USB and all the other gubbins. I'm interested in exploring internet radio. I'm going to set this up to my existing hi-fi system, which is a vintage hi-fi system largely. It's built around a Yamaha ATX 300 amplifier, a Panasonic 2-DAC CD player, and a Audio-Technica turntable. So let's get this set up and let's take a look at the Fitzwilliam 2024.
No more searching the dial, scratches and hisses coming at me from afar. No more listening to inane pop music just to get that one great track, while DJs yak and talk complete cat. Cause I've got a brand new internet radio and my ears are all over the world. From Memphis to Moscow, Gilfagott to Timbuktu. Yes, I've got a brand new internet radio.
Fitzwilliam 2024. I've set it up. I've been playing with it all night, and I'm really pleased with it. I'll give you a full review in a moment. All I can, from using it through the night and messing around with internet radio and DAB, I can only find one con with the entire thing, and I'll tell you about that later. But my sound system, which I'm very proud of incidentally, is basically, the art of it is vintage components. The CD player here is a Panasonic with a dual DACs, so it gives really good sound quality. It comes from the mid to late 80s, possibly early 90s, and it just provides brilliant quality. The amplifier then is a Panasonic ATX 300, a Yamaha ATX 300, and Yamaha amps are known for the warmth and the separation between stereo channels, so it's a really good amplifier. Now the record deck, it's probably, prior to getting my internet radio, was the old modern component, and it's Audio-Technica LP USB 1200, so it's a mid-range of the Audio-Technica, but I've added a very good, I upgraded the stylus on it, so again this provides wonderful warmth to the system. Now the speakers I'm using are Mission speakers. I've got two banks of speakers there, the tall ones, and with other speakers on top. So I've got a pair of Mission 700s, which are the blacks on the top, and the brown tall speakers down below that you can see there. These are also Mission speakers, but these are the 774s. Fantastic speakers, and I get wonderful sound through this. Now when I decided to add a tuner to my system, then obviously a vintage tuner was out of the question, because if I did go for a vintage tuner, then I'd get FM, I'd get AM, I'd possibly get long wave and short wave, but I wouldn't have DAB radio, I wouldn't have internet radio, I wouldn't have any ability of streaming anything from my phone or using a USB thumb drive with music on. I wouldn't have those options, and so I knew that adding a tuner to the system, then I would have to add a modern tuner, and that's the biggest plus I think with this Fitzwilliam, with the Majority Fitzwilliam 2024, is aesthetically it matches my system. The only thing that it looks like a vintage component, it's very, very good looking, really good looking device. The only thing that belies its vintage aesthetic is the color screen in the center there, which tells you what you're playing and what mode you're in. But that, you know, that's nothing. No, I think it goes really well there. Set up with my system. Let's just put some sound on there. This is BBC Radio 4. So there you are. I think it comes in nice with the overall aesthetics of the system. So that's the Majority Fitzwilliam 2024. Now I've been playing with the system throughout the night. I've got it all set up here, and I've preset a lot of channels. Internet radio I'm finding really addictive. Initially the setup, which you saw me do earlier in the video, was simplicity in itself. I didn't even have to put my long fangled Wi-Fi code into here, because it allows me to connect by WPS. So by pressing the WPS button on the router, this device, the Majority, then finds the internet, connects to it, and the full instructions about how to do that are clearly displayed on the screen here. When the device is off, the screen comes up with the clock, and we've also got today's date there, so it's 11:14 on the 16th of the 5th, 2026. And as I mentioned, I think that the system looks really well in amongst this other mixture of vintage and modern. So aesthetically, I'd have to give this a full thumbs up. Can't find any faults with it at all. Now, using it initially was a bit baffling for me, because I'm used to radios where I'm used to DAB radios where you get a list of channels and you just scan through that. But internet radio works slightly differently to that. The way to find an internet radio channel on you simply put the device on. I'm just going to then go to mode. So I'm turning the volume down there not to get a copyright strike. So you go to mode, select internet radio. You've got various selections. You've got auxiliary, you've got Bluetooth, you've got FM radio, you've got DAB radio, you've got a music player, you've got Spotify, you've got podcasts, and you've got internet radio. So we've gone to internet radio. Now I've already stored in a lot of channels on here, and the channels I've got stored you can access. It gives you 90 presets, so you can store up to 90 channels. It also gives you 90 presets for FM, for DAB, and for podcasts, which is really useful, because I have messed around with the podcast option on here. And last night I found the Pipe Magazine radio show. I set that as one of my presets. Now that will be in my preset list of podcasts, and it will update every time a new episode comes out. So I go onto there, for instance, and let's just say it's the only podcast I've stored on here so far, but let's say I've stored 10 podcasts, which I will do when I play around with it a bit more. So I've stored 10 podcasts, so I look at my list of stored podcasts, select the Pipe Magazine radio show, then that will give you a full list of episodes. So the latest episode is always at the top of the list, because that's the logical way to do it, and you can scroll through those episodes. Same with internet radio. So the channels I've stored here, there are two ways of accessing these. I can either use the button on the remote control, which is marked as favorite, or on the device itself I can press memory. When I press the memory, you can see the channels. I don't know how well that's picking up, but you can see the channels I've stored. So there's Ronda Radio, West Coast GTFM, Fox Oldies, Rockabilly Radio, Old Time Radio. Big fan of old time radio. I listen to a lot of radio dramas, a lot of radio plays. So you can just reel through that on the wheel. We've got the Beatles radio there, we've got Elvis radio, we've got Australian country radio. And that's one of the things that has amazed me about internet radio. I mean, I know you can just basically select any worldwide radio station that is got an internet stream on your computer. But on you, this works like a standard radio. And it's just lovely. 1 minute I'm listening, for instance, last night I was browsing North America, then I went to States, so I went to Tennessee, then I went and found Memphis, because I'm very interested in early blues music, and a lot of the music comes from Memphis. And of course my Elvis Presley project that I'm working on at the moment gives me a particular interest in Memphis. And I managed to find the radio station where Dewey Phillips first played That's Alright by Elvis Presley, all those years ago, and set the world on fire. That station's still running today. It's a very different station to what it was back in the day, of course, but it's still running. And then I was in Australia listening to ABC National Radio, Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Now, ABC National is very much like Radio 4, but from Australia rather than the British BBC One version. It's just fascinating. And the way to do that, you're on your internet radio. Now you can do it with a remote, but I found it easier to do it with an app on the phone. Now I'll tell you about that. So basically, I've selected internet radio. I've got a list of options here. My favorites, which I can go to. I've got my added stations, search, you just select search, and then you type in the name of a radio station that you want to find. But go to location. Now I've got the location here, and I get a lot of worldwide locations. So Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, Oceania, South America. So let's go to just for fun. Let's go to Africa. So I've selected Africa. Now then it gives me parts of Africa. parts of the big African continent. So I've got Algeria, Angola, Benin, Botswana, Burundi, Cameroon. So let's select Cape Verde. Once Cape Verde is selected, I get all these radio stations then that are broadcasting from Cape Verde. So I'm just going to select offhand Radio Morabeza, and a couple of the remotes right now. It's loaded, and it's as easy as that. Put the volume down, don't want a copyright strike. Now, I did find it rather tedious searching through. I wouldn't like to say how many internet radio channels there are worldwide. It goes way. So I found it tedious with the remote. But there's an app that you can download when you get the instructions on what app you need in the booklet that comes with this device. And it's much easier on your phone. So now my phone now is linked to the Majority radio, and I simply select any channel that I'm interested in trying on my phone, select it, and it automatically appears on you. Then I can choose to store it as a favorite if I want to, or just leave it go. But as I say, there are 90 presets on here. I've only stored 20 so far, so it just really works well. Once you get used to it, it's really intuitive the way it works. So I'm over the moon with this. Now, I did mention earlier that there was one con with this device, and the only con that I can see, and it's not a big deal, but I'm going to go to a different channel a minute. I go to North America, actually. So I'm in North America now, and I'm going to try the Bahamas. Now, when you get a select the channel as I've done there, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's scrolling. So I've got a channel here, and I'm not sure what this channel is. So it scrolls along with the information, but that happens really slowly, and sometimes it'll time out and go back to the previous channel you was playing. So that is the only con I can find with this entire system. I mean, I'm over the moon with this. I think it's an absolutely brilliant system, and for the money, but I mean, brand new, these come in at about 150, 158 pounds. It's not a lot of money for what you're getting. And aesthetically, it looks lovely. There are two antennas on the back of this. One is a Wi-Fi antenna, a little small rubber ducky type antenna, and there's also a telescopic extendable antenna for the DAB. But because I'm in a good DAB reception area, it's not even extended. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's horizontal at the back of the system, so it's been hidden. To navigate, as I say, by the device itself, you can just turn up, go through your list of channels here, select a channel, and then once you've found the channel, star 106 hits, which is broadcasting from the Bahamas, for instance, that becomes a push button then, and then we're on to star 106 hits. Quick blast of sound, but not too much because of copyright. And there is no sound, so it's not broadcasting at the moment. Let's try a different channel, so simply turn through your channels. We'll go to BBN 102.3 FM, allow it to connect, loads up. Again, that one's not. So basically, that's the way internet radio works. I know that's a bit of a long-winded explanation, but it really is intuitive when you get into it. Now, let's go to DAB. As I say, I'm in very good DAB reception. I know not everyone is, but here in South Wales we get pretty decent DAB. So we go to DAB. It seems to go to absolute country every time. So it doesn't go to the last channel you was playing. The last channel I was playing was BBC Radio 4. I tend to listen to Radio 4 a lot, but then you select your list, and we've got a lot of channels which are on the DAB network, the DAB multiplex, I believe they call it. So let's go to Radio 4 Extra.
That is the truth.
And that's what's currently broadcasting on Radio 4 Extra. Now you can use this here for volume, but I use the volume on my amplifier, which overrides it. So I keep this up at about 3/4 volume. and allow the amp itself to drive the system. Podcasts, so let's go to mode again. So we select podcasts now. Now we're on podcasts, and here I've got, it's loading up now, something I was listening to last night. I forgot about this, but this is the Taking Care of Business podcast. So it's an Elvis Presley podcast. So I give this some volume now.
TCB Cast, an unofficial Elvis fan podcast.
And it's just that easy to use. As I say, if you've got a stack hi-fi system like myself, and perhaps your system is built on vintage hi-fi, then this is a no-brainer in the way it aesthetically matches the rest of the vintage hi-fi. But even if you haven't got vintage hi-fi, I mean, this can be used with power speakers. You don't need the rest of the garbage. It doesn't need to necessarily be plugged into an amplifier. You can use it with powered speakers. Simply pop the speakers into the back there, and it'll work in that way. But I'm over the moon with this Majority Fitzwilliam 2024 model. I've tried to think of more cons with it, but I can't really find any cons. The only thing is the scrolling, I think, is painfully slow. So this channel is selected now, so this won't time out. It won't jump from this channel, or rather this podcast. But you can see how slow that tends to move. The scrolling is painfully slow, but as you can see, it's a really good looking system. I'm well pleased with this Majority radio. And as I say, I'm finding internet radio really addictive now. The presets I've got stored in here, let's go back to internet radio. A couple more days. I've only had this device since yesterday, so a couple more days and I'll be a lot quicker doing this. So there we are. We're back on internet radio now. I click my favorites. I'll do it on the system. Click, press the wrong button there. So I'll click memory, and it'll show me all the channels I've got selected. Let's find something really cool. So yeah, audio noir. So this is an old-time radio. Just simply press there to select it. So this is an old-time radio broadcasting station which broadcasts old radio plays, and I do like
nights and all,
Mrs. Brenner's here.
radio
There was some
plays.
trouble down
So I'm really pleased with that. What I will say is I listen to the Archers on Radio 4. Never miss an episode. And last night I listened to it on this device through my hi-fi system. First time I've ever done that. I've got a number of DAB radios in the house, or sometimes I listen to the Archers on my smart speaker, my Alexa, or through my computer, whatever, or my little portable DAB radios. But listening it through this, it sounded so much better. I could hear a lot more background, the background noises and amberage, and I really can appreciate the soundscape that the BBC create for this long-running drama series that you wouldn't get on a standard little DAB radio. It was fantastic. It really was a revelation for me. Then after I'd listened to the Archers, I plugged my headphones in here last night, and the wife was watching television, and I was all over the world. I was in Memphis, as I say. Then I went over to New York, and I listened to one of the radio station that specializes in what you call lounge music, Sinatra, Tony Bennett, some of the crooners, some jazz. It was really good. And then I was over in Russia, exploring Russian radio channels. It's going to take a while to get through, if you ever get through every channel that's on you. But I will eventually find favorites. And it's great. I've also been going onto my computer and using one of the artificial intelligence sites and asking them for recommendations of, say, internet radio channels that play vintage rock and roll, or that play country, or spoken word, or specialist old-time radio channels. I listened to an episode of Gunsmoke on here last night with William Conrad, and again, I'm so familiar with that old-time radio show. I've got a load of them on CDs. I've listened to them in the car when I'm driving, but on a decent system with that. Wow, it was like it was like being there, you know, walking down the dusty streets of Dodge City. So yeah, overall, this Majority, I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. 9 3/4 out of 10, simply because of how slow the text scrolls across the screen there. But if you're using your phone to discover channels, then you haven't got that issue. So that's not really important. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. So it's a minor niggle, if a niggle at all. But that's been the Majority Fitzwilliam 2024 model, which is the current iteration of this device. It is the current Majority. Fantastic device. It also comes in silver, and I was debating whether to get silver or black, because it was really weird. Because when I was looking at the device, I was debating over a week. I was checking out other devices to decide which one I wanted. Every time I kept flicking back to this one, 1 minute the silver version was more expensive, the next minute the black version was more expensive. In the end, I decided to go for the black version, simply because it does tend to meld in more with the rest of my equipment, although a silver would have done it well, because my Audio Technica is actually silver. So that's been the Majority Fitzwilliam Internet Radio. Absolutely fantastic. Thumbs up from me. I am now going back to manning the global listening post. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up, and please, please, please subscribe. That's all for now. See you soon, and don't forget to come back to the Tainted Tavern.
Come back soon.